Whatever your circumstances are and whatever is disturbing you, I want to show you a way out of that, because it is possible. It doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your background. It matters that you make new choices to make new beginnings. The beginning of that process is an understanding that your self-esteem, the way you feel about yourself, is the core foundation to everything. Let me give you my definition of self-esteem. It's simply the self-respect that you feel for yourself. It has nothing to do with your job or the job you don't have. It has nothing to do with your paycheck. It has nothing to do with what zip code you live in, what side of the river you live on. It has nothing to do with how your family's doing or not doing. It strictly has to do with where you are with you and how you're feeling about you. Now, how many of you have ever had a course or any training in feelings? Can I see a show of hands? Wonderful. One person out of many. Most people are dealing with feeling issues, but we have no coping skills to deal with that. I want to show you how to break that cycle. And that cycle begins by understanding the difference between self-image and self-esteem. So as you look here on the left side of this description here, I'd like to have two volunteers, so I'm going to prepare you for this. I'd like to have one person come up here and read the self-image side, and then I'm going to ask somebody to come up and read the self-esteem side to everyone. So if I could, let me have a volunteer who'd be willing to come up and read the self-image side to anybody.
Self-hatred?
Yeah.
Okay. Emotional abuse, dependency, depression, gossip, crime, guilt, fear, shame, apathy, flattery, rejection, jealousy, labeling, emptiness, insecurity, addictions, and egocentricity.
Which leads to a life of?
Value, judging, and comparison.
Self-image is very simply a mask. And most of us learned our masks growing up. You learned very quickly what worked for mom and what worked for dad. And did you notice they're different? And many people have been seeking the approval and acceptance of their parents even into adulthood still today. And many people are still not getting it. I work with a lot of businesses and individuals and families who are trying to heal. And the biggest issue that most people have is they didn't get the acceptance and approval from their parents. And so still, as adults into their later lives, and sometimes till death, they never finally get that. So what we learn to do, without even knowing we're doing it, is we learn to put on the mask that fits the circumstances that we're in. Those masks rob us of our creativity. It robs us of our uniqueness. I'd like to have a volunteer now who'd be willing to read the self-esteem side of the tree. Who'd be willing to do that? Now, as you listen to these words, listen to how many of them you can connect to and relate to.
Encouragement, peace of mind.
Let's go above that.
Self-respect, encouragement, peace of mind, fulfillment, affirming, patience, playful, health, joy, trust, purpose, integrity, creativity, acceptance, forgiveness, commitment, responsibility, and inner-directed.
Which leads to a life of?
Faith, hope, love, and TUA.
TUA.
Yep.
Any idea what TUA is? Would you say that when a person feels totally, unconditionally accepted, that their self-esteem goes up? The world is wounded. And we have a solution to heal the wounds of individuals, families, businesses, communities, nations, and the world. And very simply, it's this: that when a nation and an individual moves away from a self-image lifestyle into a self-esteem lifestyle, war doesn't become an alternative. Violence no longer is a solution. Crime isn't a possibility, because we uplift the economy of our country by developing the self-esteem of our community. And so I have just recently written a letter to our new president saying I'd like to suggest that you create a Secretary of Self-Esteem. And their job is to uplift our country by helping our children, parents, couples, families, businesses, churches, government, education, healthcare, and all the other influencers of a community in uplifting the self-esteem of our world, of our nation, of our town. And it begins right with you. Now, how do we make that a possibility? That's a big endeavor. And by my deathbed, that's what I'm committed to. And so how do I go about that? I very simply work with individuals, organizations, communities, and nations to make that different. And I'm with you today because I know that each of you have your own sphere of influence. And so if I can help you be at your best, then the possibility of global self-esteem happens right here. It begins with how you treat you and how you treat your family and how you treat your employees and then how you treat the people that you connect with. And then all of a sudden there's a ripple effect. It becomes what I call a tsunami. You see, under crisis, people get back to the foundational things that really work. The problem is we're not really dealing with the core issues. If we were, we wouldn't be having the issues that we're having now. And when we have the ability to look in the mirror and say what's working and what's not working in our personal lives, in our business, then all of a sudden there's a change that takes place. And it begins incrementally. It starts very small, but it begins inside you.